Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder it is time to talk about the 4th day's experience of Operation Shipyard, and to start off, I have technically finished my second ship now. The second ship is now basically just being processed with the time limit that is available, so what I have to do is I have to finish this one, the radio navigation, then the firefighting equipment, and then we have to get into the guardrail, but I have all of the pieces available for it, so therefore all we have to do is put it together. I did run into some complications when it came to completing this piece, but let's just sort this out really quickly, just so we can get the assembly time up. It's nice that it's down to 18 minutes now that I have some of the rare production things that you can see here all done. And when it comes down to actually building the thing, the materials-wise, we've definitely, or I personally, run into some issues. It seems like some other people have run into the similar issues, but for different products, so we'll go through that now. So the first thing to note is on the first ship, with the two different sets of materials, one thing that many will have pointed out is there wasn't really an issue with the materials once you were grinding them out. Generally, you got the materials as you were building parts of the recipe. Therefore, what you could do is you could build a part of the recipe, then play like 2 or 3 games, get the materials for the next part, so on and so forth. And for the second ship, that was happening with me. It was going pretty well until today and some of yesterday, where the non-ferrous metals just stopped dropping. And this whole day, I ground out for around about 10 hours with a half-an-hour break in that, and in those 10 hours, I was able to gain 6 pieces of this non-ferrous metal. And that's all I needed to be able to complete the build, but it took me that long to be able to find that many. In the meantime, as you can see, pretty much everything else has gone up to a ridiculous amount, and that is, of course, also with building parts along the way, such as this one, which doesn't need non-ferrous materials, this one, such as the water heating, and these two, this one as well, and also stuff such as this and this. So the main thing to understand is these are the extra materials that I have on top of what I needed to use. So if we take them away, if we take away the 1 required, the 3 wood and the 1 paint, the only ones we have left is 4 steel. So we take away 4 steel from this, we have 27 overall. So my extra materials for this build are 27 steel, 29 cast iron, 10 wood, 14 sealing and insulation materials, and 3 paints and varnishes. So technically, I could have finished this build 4 hours before recording this video, but I'm still only finishing it now because of the non-ferrous materials. Now, this is something that happened in the Battlefield Engineer event, but it happened with the rare parts instead of a specific uncommon part. So hopefully, this is just me being unlucky, and hopefully this isn't a trend which continues into the next build, which at least I've got a little bit of a heads up on it because of the fact that I've got some of the extra materials. But for me, when it comes to this build, it has been thwarted by the fact that I've been sat here all day only to get 6 pieces of non-ferrous metals, and knowing for the next few ships that I have to build, because technically I have to build, 4 more after finishing this one. If that still becomes an issue, because I'm not using the markets, and I'm not, I'm trying to do it without the markets, I'm trying to do it without any add-ons to see if it can be done, then I'm going to run into issues, because it's just going to take me too long to be able to get these metals. So that is definitely a problem that I'm worried about going forward. Now, is it a full problem yet? Is it the same as the Battlefield Engineer event when it comes to the rare parts? We're going to have to see. Right now, it's looking kind of like it, but I might have just got a very unlucky day. But when you are getting drops, such as steel, which steel is used in large amounts in this build. You have 6 here, 6 here, 1 here, 1 here. There's pretty much, you need steel for literally everything on this build, I believe. But when it comes to this non-ferrous metal, it isn't there for every part of the build. Therefore, the fact that I've used a ton of steel and still got, 27 left after I finished the last 2 recipes shows that the drop rate of steel, and at least the drop rate for me of cast iron, is a hell of a lot larger than the drop rate for non-ferrous metals. So the idea that these have equal drop rates is complete nonsense. So therefore that is a problem, in my opinion. It would have been much better to set up a system where equal amounts of these materials are used during the build and they have equal drop rates. This means that when traded on the market, they would all have similar prices, and therefore there wouldn't be certain rare ones compared to others. These are all supposed to be uncommon. These all have the same rarity, but that's not how they're being treated in the game right now, which is incredibly infuriating. But at least I finished, the second MBK 161. When it comes to the blueprints, haven't had an issue at all. I actually have enough blueprints to create 2 ships. I have 9 overall. It takes 4 each, so I've completed the blueprints before I've even completed my 3rd ship. So I've enough for 3. Oh, and also when it comes to the tank blueprints, I'm nearly up to the 4 as well. So at least from that point of view, I don't have to worry too much about, any of that stuff. When it comes to, the blueprints right now are not the limiting factor. They will, I'm sure, become the limiting factor when I move on after my 4th vehicle, because of the fact that I need those wins to be able to get these first places. I've been playing some pretty horrific vehicles today. The reason for this is because I'm grinding out the Chinese tech tree, and what that means is I have to play a lot of these weird and wonderful tank destroyers. But when it actually comes to the grind, I haven't really made any silver lines, but that's because I've been buying quite a lot of things when it comes to it, which is great. So in the grind, I've been able to grind out the IS-2 modded 1944, the M36, and the SU-100, and also playing a little bit of the Type 62, but not so much. I've actually gone back to finish off the IS-2, as you can see is spaded, the SU-152, the Type 65, and the Type 63i, which is 10,400 silver lions to repair, by the way. That is incredibly high for a vehicle like that, especially since the IS-2 is 2,800 to repair. There is no way that this vehicle is 3 to 4 times more useful than the IS-2. That's just not, that's just not, kosher. The Type 63 has a slightly better research reward on it, but it is only around about, 12%, so there's no way that it should be that high. The ISU-152, I've spaded. I really didn't enjoy my time in it. If you want to look at my statistics for these vehicles, here they are. So Type 63, I'm down -20 for the IS-2, I'm down 13 for the ISU-152, I'm down 10, so as you can see, I'm not even pulling in, 1-to-1, and that's pretty much because these vehicles just don't really fit the meta. They don't have a lot of gun depression. Yes, their guns are generally good at one-shotting stuff, but most vehicles, which are meta at this tier at 5.7, are able to get off 3 shots, at least 3.5 shots to your 1, so you're better hit, and even if you do hit, you're going to get bum rushed by somebody else. So yes, there have been a few games where I've done well in these vehicles, but with the limitations of the fact that they don't have any gun depression, the fact that these two don't have any turrets, the fact that the guns, if you get up-tiered to 6.7, the IS-2 cannot pen, a Tiger 2. It cannot pen a T-29 or a T-34. The only place it can really pen it, if you're lucky, and I really do mean that, because I have had many shots bounce off this area, is you shoot it here, but even then, it's a dodgy shot, it doesn't always go through. So that is a bit of an issue. I am looking forward to finishing off the SU-100, so then I can play the SU-100, the IS-244, and the Type 62, but in general grinding terms, I've done pretty well. I've been pretty happy with today. Even though I haven't made any silver lines at all, being able to research 3 separate vehicles and being able to now have a comparative 6.7 lineup for the Type 62 makes me a little bit happy. The other thing is why is the IS-2 Mod 44 a 6.3? When I compare it to the IS-2, it is an incredibly similar vehicle. The armor is slightly better, but is it, 0.7 higher better? The gun is exactly exactly the same when it comes to its killing power. It is literally the same as the first gun. It has the same reload. It has the same issue with gun depression, and the only other thing it seems to have is a dishka. So when I compare the two vehicles, it's very hard to look at them and be like, yeah, the Mod 44 should be, 2 BR brackets higher. I would actually drop this to 6.0. It's not really going to help it in the Chinese tech tree just because of how stuff is set up, but in the Soviet tech tree, if you drop it to 6.0, it means that you can run it with a few other vehicles, which may be a bit more fun. Maybe run it with some IS-2s and T-34-85s. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem for it. Overall, I'm happy that I got the second one done. I am very worried about this non-ferrous metals issue, and hopefully tomorrow the grind will go, pretty well, because technically, if this diagram or if this recipe is exactly the same as tomorrow, then I will have already been able to complete this one, this one, this one, and this one, and I will have parts for these two. I will have parts for this one. The only thing, of course, I'm missing is the non-ferrous metals, but hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to be a bit more lucky with that if it is a luck factor, and if it's not a luck factor and it's built into the system, then it might be time for me to call it a day once again for these damn events, because if the system is rigged against you as an average free-to-play player, I'm personally not interested in it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Ryman, Joseph Anders, Martinez, Mopar 1969, Moxie, Super Cacti, Uyans Terry, and Eel of Goats, and of course Seductive Trash Can for supporting the channel.